This conference will now be recorded.
All right, let's continue. So yesterday we have seen, yesterday we were discussing the unidirectional flow, and the example which we consider for unidirectional flow is registration flow. Okay, registration. And in the unidirectional flow, what are the different layers? What are the different layers we had? So UI layer or presentation layer. From there, it will go to controller. From the controller, it will go to
Facade
layer. From the facade layer, it will go to service layer. That's where we perform the database operation, which is nothing but database save operation. So in this situation, so this is what we discussed yesterday. So therefore layers. So this is the flow. Okay, that flow we'll understand today. Next, we have seen yesterday how to identify the UI or presentation layer and do the changes, and how to identify the controller and the corresponding methods, and how to debug the code also we have seen yesterday. Okay, so these are all we have seen yesterday. Now let's focus on this complete flow. Registration example with this complete flow. So for that, step number one is what? How to identify the UI we have seen yesterday. And so let me go here and try to enter some data here. So let's say Mr. Chenna okay, Chenna@gmail.com. Password I am giving is 1234 1234 1234 1234, and I am selecting this consent and click on register. Before click on register, let me capture the screenshot. So this is what we have right now. Let me try to reduce some more size. So this is the data we are entering in the UI. So you need to pay attention, please. So this is the data we are trying to enter in the UI. Okay, so this is the data we are trying to enter in the UI, and finally we click on register. This is the data we are entering in the UI, and finally we click on the register. So I will just take this portion alone. Okay, so this is what the presentation layer, and finally you have a button and a consent, right? So you have the button and the consent. So this is what exactly we have. So I'm just capturing everything into one place so that it is easy for us to understand. All right. So this is what we have right now, right? So this is the presentation layer, or so this is the presentation layer or UI layer. Okay, please understand this. So therefore, step number one, you can see here, presentation layer or UI layer. Presentation layer or UI layer. So this is what the presentation layer or UI layer. Presentation layer or UI layer. So that's where you are trying to enter the title, okay, first name, last name, all those things. So you entered all the data. Now let me come back to the original size or zoom. So this is the data we entered. Now, so when I click on the register, this data all the way go to database and create in the database, right? Now, is this data directly going to save in the database? Is this data directly going to save in the database? Or first we capture this data into one object. First we capture this data into one object. From the object, you massage it and do something, and finally keep in the database. Which is the correct answer?
second one, we keep in object.
So can I send that directly to database? So answer is no. First we capture into one object. Okay, then do the massaging if you want. Then finally send it to database. So therefore, we need to capture this into one object. We need to capture this into one object. So therefore, we are discussing about the step number one is presentation layer or UI layer. Okay, presentation layer or UI layer, and this is what we had. Okay, so this is what we had, and so we means here customer entering lots of data. Customer entering lots of data. Now it's time to capture this data into one object. It's time to capture this data into one object. So generally names are like this. Generally names are like this. So right now this is what? Registration form, right? So this is called, yesterday we have seen. So register.tag. So that means if you go to the register.tag, if you see the name, what is the name we have given? Can you see this one, please? It's trying to open. Okay, so you can see, so this is the register.tag. This is the one which is giving the results. And you can see here, we have given the name is register form or form. Form means what? The place where customer enters something. So therefore, basically it is having, okay, register star. So this is that means we have a register form. Okay, so we have register form. That's where customer entering the data. Customer entering the data. Customer entering the data. Now I need to capture into one object. So therefore, that object is what? So you can see that object is register form object, like that will be there. So you can see register form.java. Okay, so therefore register, so this is the register star will be there, register form. So then we have something called the register form.java, which is nothing but the object. So this can hold, or this holds the data whatever customer enters. Okay, that's why you can see here register form.java. So what are we entering here? Can you see this one, please? What are we entering here? First name, last name, okay, email ID, password and all. That's why you have the variable, okay, title, first name, last name, all those things. So that means whatever customer enters here will be stored in this form. How it will be stored in this form? I will show you the logic. How this will be stored in this form? I will show you the logic. First, try to understand. Okay, so this is the register form. So therefore, whatever you are entering, the title will be stored in the title variable. This will be stored in the first name. This will be stored in the last name. This will be stored in the email ID and all. Because you have a setter method, getter methods. You can see. So for title, set title, get title. For name, set name, get name. Like that we have it. This is the form object. So this is the form object, simple form object here. So where it will have the variables, corresponding variables, and set method and get method. Okay, so if I have 20 input fields, then 20 variables, 20 set methods, 20 get methods. Like that we have it. Okay, so like that we have it. So therefore, whatever title is entered here will be stored in the title variable. Okay, because it is having its own set method, get method. Whatever first name will be stored here, whatever last name will be stored here, and whatever email ID will be stored here, and so on, so on, so. So now you can ask a question, customer entering the data here, how this will be stored in this object? That will be stored in this object. The reason is, okay, so this is how you created this is we created here. Form object we created. Register form.java we created. So how do we create it? You can see what are the input fields, first name, last name, title and all. So with that you can create the variables. And for each variable, you can create the set method, get method, set method, get method. That's it. Simple, straightforward. Nothing more than that in this. Now, so whatever customer enters will be captured into this object. How? Because if you go to the register.form, so this is the one which is giving the UI, right? Register.form is the one which is giving the UI. Now, if you see the logic of the register.tag, if you see the logic of the register.tag, are you guys paying attention?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Now, if you see the logic of the register.tag, you can see, so this is giving this UI here. This is giving this UI. Now this is the form. It is posting. It is posting the data. It is posting the data, and that data is mapped to register form, which is nothing but this one. So therefore, model attribute you need to give as your register form name. Okay, so here it is a capital letter, here it is a small letter. So that is how we have the Java standards. You can use it. That's it. So therefore, step number 1 is what? Your model attribute name should will have this name. Okay, next second point is, now this is the one which is giving the title. This is the one which is giving the first name. Okay, so this is the one which is giving the first name. Now, so this is the input box giving the first name, and you can see path here. This path is exactly the variable name of the form. So that means whatever you are entering, you are capturing into this variable. So these are the two things you need to follow to hold that entered data into this form object. That's it, nothing more than that. Next, you can see whatever title entered here. Okay, so the title is created because of this UI element, and whatever you entered in the title, this will be stored in this. Why? Because you can see there is a path here, that is the name what we mentioned here. So that means whatever title you entered here will go and sit in this variable, and so on and so on. So that is how whatever customer entered is captured into this object. Is that clear? Is that clear? Okay, good. Okay, so therefore I am saying what I am trying to say, in the presentation layer, customer is entering some data. Okay, whatever customer entered, we need to capture into one object. So right now this is the register form. So therefore register form dot Java will be there. So if it is a something else, let's say customer form dot Java, register form dot Java, like that names will be there here. If you want to see, you can just go here, Control Shift to R, star form dot Java. So you can see for register purpose, you have register form. You can check what else we have. Okay, for address purpose, address form. So that means whatever address you entered here will be captured into this. What else we have here? You can see for a cart. So cart address form. Okay, add to cart. Add to cart means that's where you are entering the cart information, all those things, right? Increase quantity, decrease quantity, and all, and so on, so on, so like this, form objects are given. You can see here. Okay, ATP formulas form.java. Like this, we have B2B form object. Quick order also is there, right? You remember quick order? Quick order form. So let's see, it should be quick order form. Okay, quick order form. Star quick. Why quick order is not there? So it starts with the Q, right? So it will be here, it will be somewhere else. So you can see update password form. Okay, so like this, so many are there. Save, okay, saved card form. Register form, just now we have seen, or we are trying to see. Now you can see code form. Okay, so like this, we have different things here. So therefore, in a simple word, what you need to do, you can just look for asterisk form.java. That's it. Okay, so asterisk form.java, that's it. So that's how it is. Now, whatever customer enters is captured into this object. Now you are clicking on register. So when you click on register, I told controller will be called. And which is the controller? Yesterday we have seen, right? What the controller, tell me? Okay, so it's a register. What is the controller? Register.
Login control.
Login page controller, right? Login page controller.java. So you can see here login page controller.java. You can see /login and the method is register. So this is where we put the breakpoint also yesterday. So how we identified? Let's recap quickly. So when we click on this, controller is called. How do we know the controller? Right click, inspect element. Right click is interest element. You can see this is the button. Okay, so you can see this is the button. Okay, you can see this is the button, and this, but when you click on the button, this is the URL called. So when you click on the button, this is the URL called. Okay, so this is the URL called when you click on the button. So right now I am already here, and this is the language. This is the language. Now you can see here, right now I am in /login. So when you click on the button, it is going to the /register. So therefore, what is the gap right now? /register. So you can see /register is here. You can see /register is here. I'm just moving to this place just for easy purpose. Then you can also see /login is there. So that means the URL pattern, whatever mentioned, is matching with the controller request mapping. So you can see URL pattern, whatever mentioned. So /register and /login. So both are matching. So that means URL pattern, whatever you mentioned for the button, is matching with the controller request mapping. So that means this is the controller called, this is the method called. So to prove that that is the controller, that is the method, what we can do? We can debug the code. How to debug the code? So we have seen yesterday. Now let me debug the code. So you can go here, go to the debug configuration, and there is a remote application Java, right? Where is that? Okay. Where is that here? What happened? So go to this bug icon, debug configuration. Yeah, this one. So start debug. So it will take 1 minute. Let it load. So now it is trying to load it here. Once it is loaded, you can see here the controller or the flow will come and stop here. The flow will come and stop here. Let this finish. Okay, so it is almost done. It will take another half minute. So therefore, step number 2 is what? Controller. So how to identify the controller we have seen. How to identify the controller we have seen. Now we need to understand what to do in controller. Okay, we need to understand what to do in controller. We need to understand what to do in controller. Okay, so it's almost done. Now you can see. Okay, good. Now you can see it's came. Now I click on this one here. Can you see this one, please? I click on the register. When I click on the register, you can see the execution flow came and stopping here. So that means this is the correct controller, this is the correct method called, or this is the correct code for that particular button. Okay, good. Now if you observe here, as I told you, the moment you click this button, whatever data you entered is captured into register form, and you can see that register form Okay, can you observe this one, please? That register form is exactly having the data. Is that clear? Register form is exactly having whatever we entered the data. Register form is having the data whatever we entered. That's it. So that means all this data is captured into this. So you can see title is coming into title, password is coming into password. Okay, all these things are coming into this. That's it. So that means what is the major input? Okay, what is the major input for the controller? Okay, form object. Okay, what is the major input for the controller? Form object. Now the next question is what to do in controller. Okay, what to do in controller. First thing, so please understand this, customer entering lots of data here. Can you guys pay attention? Can you guys pay attention? Customer is entering lots of data here. And some of the data, let's take an example. Can you see this one, please? You are entering password and confirm password. Okay, do we really store the confirm password in the database? Do we really store confirm password in the database?
No.
Only
No.
password.
Yes. Sometimes we enter the captcha, right? Do we really store captcha in the database?
No.
No. So that means, listen these conclusions here. First one is what? Customer. Okay. So entering lots of data. And some of the data we will not store in database. Example. So what is the example? So let's say captcha. Captcha is just for a validation purpose. Confirm password is just for validation purpose, and so on, so on. Okay. Sorry. Let me put this way here. Sorry. Let me put this way. So customer entering lots of data. Okay. So now I am asking the question. If password and confirm password, okay, if password and confirm password are not same, okay, if password, customer entering lots of data, okay, if password and confirm password not same, shall I continue next or shall I stop?
Stop.
Okay, shall we continue next or we can stop?
No.
Okay, we can stop, right? We can show the errors. Now second question I'm asking. What is the second question? So let's say if, okay, email ID is not having at symbol. Okay, if email ID, you can see he is entering the email ID, right? If email ID is not having that symbol, shall we continue or we can show errors?
Show errors.
Okay, stop and show the errors. Stop and show the errors. So that like this we have many scenarios. So that means what? It's time to do the validation. That means it's a time to do the validations. For a validation purpose, okay, for validation purpose, we can use validator framework. Validator framework will have validate method and we need to override it. Is that clear? What are we trying to do first thing? Okay, so please understand this. We came to the controller. For controller, input is form object. Then what to do in the controller? Customer entering lots of data. If password confirm password is not same, shall we continue next? No need. Next, if email ID is not having that symbol, shall we continue next? No need. Like this, so many scenarios are there. So that means it's time to do the validations. For validation purpose, we can use the validator framework. Validator framework is having a validate method. We need to override it. So that's what it is happening here. You can see here, please. Okay, you can see here. So valid for right now it is a registration, right? So registration validator, and validate is a method. Now if you go to that method, so you can press the control here. You can press the control, okay, and open the code. So right now this is the registration validator. So you can see there are so many places they have overridden that method, validate method. So right now, we need to go with the registration validator. Registration validator. Where is the registration? R, right? R. Where is it here? Yeah, you can see here. So registration validator. Okay, so now you can see here. So press the F8 here. F8 means next breakpoint. So it came to here. So that means from here to it jumped to here. Now you can see here we are passing the object. Which object? Form object. Form object is having whatever customer entered. Now here we are having lots of logic. You can see we are validating the email ID, we are validating the password, we are comparing the password, we are checking the terms and conditions, and so on, so on. So like this, so many things are there. What happened? It's done, huh? Is it done? Oh, by mistake I clicked. Okay, let me open back office once. What happened? Where it is holding? Okay, so it is holding here. Okay, it's not done. Okay, it's not done. That's good. Now you can see validations are completed. Okay, can you observe this one, please? Let's say you want to write additional logic. So validate email, you want to write additional logic. What is the additional logic? So if, okay, email, okay, if email contains at symbol, you want to allow or don't want to allow? If email contains at symbol, you want to allow or you don't want to allow?
Hello.
Hmm? If email
Hello.
contains at symbol, you want to allow, right? So if email not contains that symbol, you don't want to allow. So that means email not contains that symbol, then throw the error message. Like this, you can write the validations. Like this, you can write the validations. You can see they are comparing if email ID is more than 255 characters, throw the error. If email ID is empty, throw the error. Like that, they are doing all the comparisons, different comparisons. Like that, they are doing all the different comparisons. Okay, so like this, validations are done. Once the validations are done, can you see this one, please? Okay, why it came to here? Okay, I think that account got created. So let me do it again. I will delete that account here. So you can see customers. So we passed the flow. We completed the flow. So let's go with the Chenna. Let me delete this. Okay, I deleted it. Now come here, refresh it. Okay, you are getting the error because that account is no more available. And say clear equal to true. What happened? So let me close the browsers once. Okay, I closed all the browsers. Let me open the browser again. Okay, now it's loading. That's good. Now click on the register. It's good. Now I am trying to enter the data. Mr. Chenna, RRS, email ID, password 1234 1234 1234 1234. Okay, select this and click on register. So the moment you click on register, it came here. So then what is the first step? So what to do in the controller? Customer is entering lots of data. So if password confirm password is not same, then stop the stop and show the errors. If email ID is not having at symbol, stop and show the errors. That means it's time to do the validation. For validation, we are using the validator framework. In the validator framework, we are overriding that particular method. And you can see, so this is how you are doing the validations. So you can see these are all the different validations: validating the title, validating the name, validating the email ID, validating the passwords. Passwords means password, confirm password is same, compare, all those things. Now finally validations are successful. So assume that validations are successful. You need to pay attention for next 1 hour here. This is the complete flow. Assume that validations are successful. How do we know validations are successful? So if you want to know the validations are successful, okay, so if you want to know the validations are successful, how do you know? You can see, so this is the state. Okay, you can see there is a binded results, right? Can you go to the binded results? You can hover on the binded results and you see errors. Right now errors is what? Empty, right? Errors empty means we are good. Errors empty means we are good. That's clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So errors empty. That means we are good. So that's how you can make sure that, okay, no errors. If errors are there, then it will not continue here. This binded results will be returned and you will get errors. So therefore, right now, this binded results errors is nothing but empty. So that means no errors right now. So that means customer entered the data correctly. Customer entered the data correctly. So that means assume that validations are successful. Okay, after validations are successful, look at the second thing here. Okay, first thing is what? Customer entered lots of data and we need to do the validations. We completed the validations. Now customer entered lots of data. Do we really store? Okay, so do we really store? Do we really store all the data in database?
No.
Do we really store all the data in the database? Example, please understand this. So example or question number 3. So let's say a customer enter the captcha. Do we store in the database? Customer enter the captcha. Do we store the database here, or it is just for validation purpose?
Validation, yeah, validation.
It is just for validation purpose. Enter captcha. So will not store in database. It's just for validation purpose. Next, fourth question. So let's say a customer enter the confirm password. Confirm password we will not store in database. Only password we will store, and so on, so on, so. So that means whatever customer enters, we may not need all the data for database. Whatever customer enters, we may not need all the information for database. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
So whatever customer enters, so validations are done. Validations are successful here. After validation, confirm password is not required. Captcha is not required. So that means whatever customer enters, we may not need all the information for database side. Okay, for database side. So that means it's time to remove or delete some of the data from object. Okay, so example, now let's come here. So this is the register form object, right? So now validations are completed. After validations are completed, confirm password we are not storing in the database, right? Confirm password we are not storing in the database. That means I don't need this. I don't need this. Now consent we are not storing in the database. That means we don't need this consent. Consent we are not storing in the database. That means we don't need this. Like this, so on, so on, so. So that means some of the data, can you guys pay attention? Can you guys pay attention? Some of the data we don't need towards the database. Why do you want to carry all the data to database here? You don't need. So therefore, some of the data you don't need for database. That means it's time to remove. So now can I remove from the current object? Can we remove from the current object? Can I remove confirm password, consent, all these things from the current object?
No.
Yes.
Why? Why no?
I mean, we can set it to null.
But setting in the null, what is the advantage? Okay, anyway, it's a data, right? Null is also kind of a data.
Okay, we don't need to hold that variable itself.
Correct. So can I remove it from the object? That's the question. Now we don't need the confirm password because the validations are over. We don't need the consent password, consent form because the validations are over. We don't need the captcha because the captcha validations are over. Now can I remove it from the current object? Yes or no?
Yes, Chen.
Yes.
Okay, Raj, yes. Raj?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So as I told you, this is the object, right? This is the object. And so Raj, right? You are also object, yes or no? Okay. So in Java world, this is the object. In the real world, you are the object, yes or no? Raj?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes. And you have a property called height. You have property called weight. Can I remove your height weight here? Can I remove your height weight? Yes or no, Raj? Answer is no. We cannot remove from the current object. You cannot remove from the current object. So therefore, now let's say Raj, again one more example. So Soumit, let's say you have taken one candidate, he is a Java expert, but you still need the database expert. What do? You will hire one more person, right? Who knows the database expert. Similarly, if you don't want these particular properties, you cannot remove from the current object. So create a new object and put what exactly you need in that object. Is that clear? So therefore, can we remove? Okay, can we remove from current object? Current object? Answer is no. Then what to do? So create another object. Create another object. Okay, and put what exactly you need in that object. So this another object you need to call with some name, right? That name is called a data object. That name is called a data object. Okay, so how to create the data? See, form objects we created based on the input fields, right? If we have 20 input fields, 20 variables, 20 set methods, 20 get methods, then how do we create the data object? So now you can see here, these many are there. And what exactly you need? First name, last name, okay, email ID, password, like that you need. With that, you need to create the variables. So how to create the data object, I will explain in the after 2 days here. How to create data object, I will explain after 2 days. For now, assume that the data object is available. Okay, so right now this is what scenario is what? Scenario is what? Register, right? Register. So therefore, data object will be register data, like that will be there. You can go and check if you want. Control Shift to R. So register data dot Java. You can see. So it is having what? So please remember this register data or data objects, data classes are generated. How it is generated, I will explain later. For now, assume that is generated. Now you can see, you can just create the variables only what you need, like a title, first name, last name, password, like that. So do you see confirm password in that? No. Do you see consent in that? No. Okay, so like this, you can create the data object. Please understand this. Now we have customer enter lots of data and validations are over. Now we are not storing confirm password, consent, all these things in the database. That means it's time to remove those. Can I remove from the current object? No. Then what to do? Create another object, put what exactly you need towards the database in that object. Now you need to call with a different name, right? We are calling with the data object. How to create data object I'll explain later. For now, assume that there is a data object. So how the data object will be there? For register data. Now you can go and check Control-Shift-R star data.java. So you can see for register data, for cart data, for order data, for address data. Like that, data objects or data classes are there. Is that clear? These general conclusions are very important. Okay, so for cart data, for order data, like that data objects will be there. You can see. So cart data, for order data. So it will hold the order data information. For address data. So that means this will hold the address information, and so on, so on, so on. So that's why I said. So finally, how it will be? Star data.java classes or objects will be there. Okay, so that's what exactly we are doing next. Can you guys see that? Can you guys see this one? So now you can see here we are going to another controller. I'm just putting the breakpoint here. You can see we came here and we are checking, are there any errors? Binded results errors. No errors, right? So that way it will not go inside. If errors, you can see we are returning the error messages. Right now, no errors. Now you can see I am creating an object of that register data. Okay, I'm creating an object of register data. Can you guys see this one? I'm creating an object of register data, and I'm taking the data from form object, keeping in the data object. Taking from form object, keeping in the data object. Taking from the form object, keeping in the data object. You can see form dot first name. Okay, keeping in the first name of the data object. Form dot last name, keeping in the data object of last name. Form dot get email ID, keeping in the data object, and so on, so on. So finally, my data object is ready. Can you see this one? So this is what my data object. Am I having what exactly I need, or am I having something different? Can you guys see this one? My data object is exactly what I need for my database, or I have something different. This is what my data object. Are you guys paying attention? Are you guys paying attention?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so therefore from here, so this is a form object. After validations, this is my data object. Now my data object is ready. So you can see this is the data object. Now in the data object, am I having confirm password? No. Am I having consent? No. What is there? First name, last name, password, okay, title, those things are there. My data object is ready. My data object is ready. Now tell me what, okay, so now you need to answer 3 questions here. So what is the input for controller? What is the main input for controller? Now you can answer.
Model attribute.
Form object. Okay, second question. What we did in controller? Okay.
Validation.
First one is validations. Very good. Second one is, first one is validation. Second one is create data object. Now third question. What is the major output of the controller? Output of the controller.
Data object.
Very good. So the measure is data object. Now my data object is ready. Okay, so that's what you will do in the controller. So once the data object is ready, so you can go to next layer. What is the meaning of layer? File. In the layman language, what is the meaning of layer? File. You can go to the next layer. What is the next layer? Facade layer. Facade layer. Then how the code will be. Okay, so you can see here right now scenario is what? So you are trying to create a customer, right? So therefore for customer you have customer facade. For cart you will have cart facade. For order you will have order facade. You can see here please. So customer facade. So for customer facade. For cart you have cart facade. You can see here. For order you have order facade. Are you guys are seeing? I am showing very general code here. I am showing the registration example, also covering many other scenarios. Are you getting me?
Yes, Chenna.
Okay. So for address, so you can see address facade. Like that, you have the facade files. So therefore, how do you call? Okay, get star facade. Get star facade. Okay, get star facade dot some method. Okay, some method, and pass the data object to that. Pass the data object to that. So therefore, next one is facade layer. Pass the data object to that. Next one is facade layer. So therefore, what is the meaning of star here? What is the meaning of star here? If it is a customer, customer. If it is an order, order. So if it is an address, address. So therefore, for customer, customer facade, get customer facade dot register. For order, get order facade. For address, get address facade. Like that, we have the facade files. So that's why I told you, Control-Shift-R star facade dot Java. You can see there are so many facades. So this is how you need to find the code. Okay, so B2B budget facade, B2B cart facade, okay, address facade, payment facade, like that you have different facade files. Okay, all right. Now, so what is the input for the facade? What is the input for the facade?
Data object.
Data object. So what is the input for the facade? Data object. Now we need to understand what to do in facade layer. Facade layer means different file. So we are coming to different file means we will do something there. What to do in the facade file? Okay, so this is what the data object. Now this is given to facade file. Okay, so before we understand further, so this is what my data object. Can you guys pay attention? So this is what my data object. You need to understand this one, please. Now let me show you the database. Let me show you the database. I'm just trying to show you the database record. So right now we are trying to create the customer. Let's see database customer record. Let's see database customer record. So this is the data object right now. This is the data object right now. Now I am trying to show you database customer record. So you can go to the user. We are trying to create the customer right now. So let's see the customer. So this is one of the customer record. Okay, so this is one of the customer record. Okay, so in the database, user right now, customer, user is nothing but the customer right now, and this is one of the customer record. Now can you see what all we have here? Here, this is the nice example here to understand. So this is the user and it is having the first name or name ID. I'm trying to put everything at one place so that it is easy to explain. Okay, and it is also having language, currency, all those things. It is also having language, currency, all those things. Okay, so language, currency, all those things. So therefore, if I go to the database, in the database, customer record is like this, right? Are you guys paying attention? So let's say this is my database. Are you there? So this is the SAP Commerce database customer record. SAP Commerce database user. So user is nothing but the customer record. This is what we have. Okay, so this is what we have. Now, do you see any gap between what is there in the data object and what is required for the database customer record? or both are same? Do you see any gap between what is there in the database record? You can see now. What is there in the, can you guys see this one please? Do you see any difference? Do you see any difference, okay, between data object and database customer record, or both are same? Both are same or there is a difference? There is a difference, right? So example, first one, okay, data object is having first name and last name. In database, we only have the name. In database, we only have name. Next, second example. In database, we have language and currency. Language and currency. And do I have in that data object? But in data object, okay, we don't have those. Is that clear? So what I'm trying to say that if you understand, so data object, I'm writing one more time, you need to understand. Data object is having okay, first name, last name. But in database, we only have name. That's the first scenario. Next, in database customer record, we have language currency, but in data object we don't have. So that means there is a gap between data object and what is required for customer record, database customer record. Yes or no? So and so on, so on, so. Is that clear? That means, are you guys are there? That means there is a gap between, are you guys are there?
Yes, sir.
Data object and database, okay, database user customer record. So therefore now can I say, see this terminology please, can I say data object is the true representation of, okay, data object is the true representation of database user customer record or not? Is that correct? No. Can you say data object is the true representation of database customer record? No. No, right? Because there is a gap. So therefore, it's time to create, okay, database user customer record true representation. It's time to create an object. It's time to create an object, another object. I will say another object. It's time to create another object that will be database customer record true representation. True representation. Are you guys are paying attention? So then you need to call with a different name. You need to call this object with a different name. So that object is called as model object. So in a simple word, okay, it's time to create model object, which will be true representation of database customer record, which will be true representation of database customer record. Is that clear? Is that clear? Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Okay, very good. So therefore it's time to create a true representation of customer record. So now model object, right? We already discussed this. So for customer, you have customer model, right? For order, you have
Order model.
model. And for user, you have user model. That's it. Now, how do I create an object? Do you remember the syntax?
Yeah, model service dot create.
Excellent. Model service dot create. Very good.
IZ model dot class.
Customer model dot class. We discussed this enough. That's what we are doing here. You can see here. I'm going to the next one. Okay. So register. Go to this implementation. Now we are going to the facade. Can you guys see this one? Facade. So in the facade, you need to pay attention. In the facade, you can see, okay, model service dot create a customer model. Now in the customer model, you are putting the data. Can you see this one, please? So you are putting that, see, you can see you are combining first name and last name, putting in the name. You are combining first name and last name and putting in the name. Now in the model object, we want language and currencies, right? So language and currencies in model object. Okay, so we want language and currency. So this information we can get from this information we can get from I18N services. Okay, so that's why you can see here. Can you guys see this one, please? Okay, so common I18N service dot get language get currency. This will give current website base store language base store currency. That I am keeping in a model attribute. Are you guys are seeing? So
Yes,
for the database, we need the language and currency. Language currency you can get from common I18N service. Common I18N service dot get a language. It will give current website base store language. Okay, common I18N service get currency. It will give current website base store currency. That I am keeping in my model object. Like this, we are creating the model object. Okay, like this, we are creating the model object. Now you can see, now my model object is ready. Can you guys see this one? Now my model object is ready. Okay, so here, can you see the name, please? Now we combined first name and last name, putting in the name. Now we combined first name and last name, putting in the name. Do you see? We combined first name and last name, putting in the name. And there is a language currency, all these are coming. So that's what we are doing in the facade layer to create the model classes or model objects. Now can I say this model object is the true representation of database record?
Yes,
Can I say this model object is a true representation of database record? Answer is yes. Okay. Okay, I know it cannot fit here, but I'll put here. Yeah, I'll put here. Okay, so therefore from here it came to this. So now you can see first name, last name is combined and putting in the name. That is what we need for the database. That is what we needed for the database. And language, currencies, all these things are there. Language, currencies, all these things are there. That's it. Language, currencies, all these things are there. That's it. Language, currencies, all these things are there. That's it. Okay, so therefore this is the true representation of database record. So therefore now I'm asking three questions. What is the input for the facade layer? Data. So then what did we do in facade layer? Created true representation. That's nothing but model object. Then third point. So what is the main output of this one? Model object. Now my model object is ready. Now my asterisk model object is ready. Once it is ready, then call the next layer. Call the service layer. Call the service layer. So how do I call the service layer? Let's see. How do I call the service layer? Let's see. Can you guys see this one, please? So right now we are trying to create a customer account, right? Right now we are trying to create a customer account. So that's why customer account service. If you are trying to create a cart, you have a cart service here. So you can say cart service. If you are trying to create an order service. If you are trying to create an address verification service. Like that you have service files. So therefore star services, star services or service dot some method.
Hello, we can't hear you, Chenna.
Chenna cannot hear you.
Chenna, we can't hear you. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you now. Hello.
Chenna, it's not audible. Hello.
Chenna. Hello.
Hello, Chenna. We can't hear you. Hello. Hello. Hello, Chenna.
Hello, Chenna.
Hey, Chenna.
Shall we all disconnect and reconnect again? Maybe then you will come to know that.
Yeah. I tried doing that, disconnect and connect back again, but I'm still not able to hear Chenna. So either we can all disconnect.
I think it's issue from Chenna side.
Yeah, it is an issue from Chenna's side.
We are leaving. Yeah, let's try it.
Can you ping him like chat message maybe?
He is disabled the chat. No?
The chat is disabled.
I think there is no point staying back. We can ask him to repeat this part tomorrow. I think we can leave.
Right.
Yeah.
Probably he will be back. He will realize soon that nobody's answering. So he's asking some questions. Stay back. Don't disconnect.
Chenna, can you hear us? Hello. Hello.
So we all can do one thing. We can disconnect for 1 minute.
I did that. I just can't.
Just to stay on a minute. Like he asked some questions, right? He's expecting. He might be expecting answers, so you'll know. So far, he's explaining. So he's not aware. Just
Yeah.
let's wait for a minute so that if he doesn't, if he still continues, then we can disconnect for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
Right.
This
Thank you.
conference will now be recorded.
All right. Let's continue. It seems we had some disconnect, right? So let's continue again. So let me go here and try to delete that record. Okay, I deleted the record. Now go to the UI. So hit it. Okay, let me close this browser and open it again. Okay, so now click on the register. Can you see this complete flow, please? Let's say enter. Okay, Chenna. Are you guys are there now?
Yes, Chenna.
Okay, good. Okay, so now I'm showing everything. So click on register. When you click on register, obviously it came to controller. From controller, we have done the validations. Then we created a data object. Now my data object is ready. Then we are going to the facade layer. In the facade layer, we are trying to create the model object. Now my model object is ready. Once a model object is ready, we'll call the next layer called service layer. Is that clear?
yes, sir.
How to call the service layer? So right now it is a customer. So customer account service dot register dot, you can pass your model object. If it is a cart service. If it is a order service. Like that we have the service layers. So therefore now I will go to the implementation of this. I will go to the implementation of this. Now you can see, so this is the one. So you can go here, you can see. Okay, now you can see here, please, what are we trying to do in the, now coming to the service layer, please. What is the main input for the service layer? The main input for the service layer is model object. Then what we do in service layer, we perform the DB operation. How to perform the DB operation? You can see here. How to perform the DB operation? You can see here. Model service dot save, save of customer model. Model service dot save of customer model. Then after finishing this one, you will see a record get created in the database. You will see a record get created in the database. Let me go to back office and see if that get created or not. You can go to the back office and see if that created or not. So I'm trying to go to the back office, which is nothing but the database for us. Ravi, can you please be on mute? There is a background noisy. Okay, now we can go to the user. In the user, we have the customer. Now let's look for the Chenna. So you can see Chenna record got created. You can see Chenna record got created. So that's what I said. Our model object is ready. So from once the model object is ready, we are calling the service layer. In the service layer, we are performing the DB operation. DB operation is but model service dot save. Once you perform the DB operation in the database, you can see that record get created. That record get created. Now that is the complete flow. That record get created. Now we have, let's say this save operation fails. If save operation fails, the exception we are going to get is model saving exception. Let's say this save operation is failed because of duplicate data. That means that ID, whatever you are trying to create, already exists. If it is already exists, then ambiguity identification exception. Like that, you see exceptions are also handled here. Okay, now customer record got created, but still your UI is spinning. So that means UI don't know whether operation is completed or not. So that means it's time to publish the event for UI saying that operation is successful. Saying that operation is successful. How do I publish the event? Okay, how do I publish the event? You can see here. So event service dot publish event. Publish event of what? Okay, register event with what? Customer model. So therefore, in a simple word, we are telling that we are publishing an event saying that our operation, whatever we are trying to do, is successful. Okay, so that will come here, will be hand over to the auto login strategy. So right now we are trying to log in. So this is the auto login strategy. So that will use that response or that event service and go to the login page. Go to the next page called register page. You can see here registration is successful. Now you logged in successfully. You logged in successfully. So this is the complete flow of the unidirectional. This is the complete flow of the unidirectional. That's why whenever you attend the interview, right? Whenever you attend the interview, right? They may be asking, can you explain the layers? They may be asking, can you explain the unidirectional flow? They may be asking, can you explain how SAP commerce is loosely coupled? Now, do you see what is the meaning of loosely coupled here? You can clearly we are differentiating how we captured the customer data and how we filtered the data whatever entered by the customer and how we created the data which is required for the database and so on so therefore people will be asking this question very commonly. Can you explain the layers? Okay, can you explain the unidirectional flow? Can you explain how this is loosely coupled? Or can you explain why we need form object, data object, model object, these many objects? Okay, like this we have a question. Especially when I was attending the interviews first time, this is the common question people ask. And if you explain however I explained, 40% you are selected here. Okay, now let me tell you, if someone asks this question, how I explains. Same way you please practice. That much of powerful this example is. That much of powerful this example is. Let's say someone is asking, can you explain the layer? Can you explain the unidirectional flow? Can you explain how it is a loosely coupled coding? Can you explain why do we need these many objects? If someone is asking the question like this, you explain this way. Okay, so to explain the unidirectional flow, let me take a registration example. Let me take a registration example. Now customer click on the register. When customer click on the register, UI layer will come. There customer input all the data. Whatever inputted, we need to capture into one object. Right now this is the register. For register, we have a register form.java, which will hold the data whatever entered by the customer. How that is possible? That is possible because whatever you are seeing in the UI is created from the register.tag. In the register.tag, there is a model attribute which is pointing to the form object, and we are using the path which is nothing but our register form variable name. So that's why whatever customer entered is captured into this register form object. And the customer click on the register after entering all the data. When customer click on the register button, then controller will be called. How do I find out the controller? So I will check the the register button action. Action is having some URL. That URL pattern should match with the controller request mapping. Controller request mapping. So in this situation, that will be login page controller. In the login page controller, we will see /c/register. Then how do I know that is the correct controller, correct method? For that, we can debug the code. How do I debug the code? I need to start the server in the debug mode. Okay, whenever we start the server in the debug mode, it use the some port number. What is the default port number? 8000. Where can we see platform project.properties? Now what happens if that port number is already used? No problem, you can change it. How do we change it? We can go to the local config local.properties and you can put whatever you want and start the server in debug mode. How do we start that server in debug mode? Hybris server.bat space debug. Then server gets starts. Once server is started, then you can come to Eclipse and go to the bug icon and open the debug configuration and put the breakpoint wherever you want and click on the register button. Once you click on the register button, now you can see the flow will come and stop at a particular place here. Okay, now what the major input for the controller? Form object. Then what we do in the controller? So the first point is customer entering lots of data. What happen if confirm password is not same? Shall we continue? Answer is no. What happen if password email is not having that symbol? Shall we continue next? No need. Like that we have many scenarios. That means it's time to do the validation. For validation purpose, we have a validator framework. Validator framework is having a validate method. That method you override with your own validations. Okay, so that is what we have done here. Okay, that is what we have done here. And assume that validation is successful. Once validation is successful, then what is the next? After validation is successful, now the next scenario is customer entered lots of data and validations are successful. After validations are successful, some of the data not required for database. Example, confirm password we are not putting in the database. Okay, captcha we are not putting in the database. Okay, consent we are not putting in the database. That means we don't need this data for next. Now shall I remove that data or attributes from this current object? No. So therefore it's time to create one more object and put what exactly you need for next. And we will call it as a data object. How do we create a data object? We'll see later. For now, assume that we have the data object. Right now the scenario is register. So register data object. If it is a card data object. If it is order data object. Like that we have the data objects. So then create the data object and put what exactly you need in this data object. Now my data object is ready. Once the data object is ready, go to the next layer called the facade layer. How do I go to the facade layer? Okay, so right now for customer you have a customer facade. If it is order facade. If it is cart facade. Like that we have the facades. Now call the facade layer. Now, so if you see the controller, three things are there. What is the input? Form object. What do we do? Validations and creating a data object. What is the output? Data object. Now that data object you pass to the facade layer. So therefore for facade layer, input is data object. Then what we do in the facade layer? Okay, now you need to observe clearly one thing. Okay, so in the facade layer, we got the data object and having this information. Now, if you observe the database user customer record, it is having this information. Now, if you see there is a gap between these two. So, for example, data object is having first name, last name, and the database it is only name. It is a combination of combined things is nothing but the name. Next, in the database we have language and currency, but in data object we don't have it. That means there is a gap between data object and the database customer record. So that means data object is not the true representation of database customer record. So it's time to create a true representation of database customer record, which is nothing but another object. That is nothing but model object. For customer, you have a customer model. For order model. For address model, like that. So therefore, create a model object and put what exactly you need for the database. Now we need language and currency for the database. Language and currency you can get it from the common I18N services. Okay, common I18N service dot get language get currency will give the current website based on language and currency. Capture all those things and put in the model object. Now my model object is ready. So that means what we do in the facade layer, create the model objects. Once model object, call the next layer called service layer. What is the service layer? So right now we are creating the account, customer account. Okay, so therefore we have a customer account service. For cart, you have a cart service. For order, you have an order service, like that. So call the, so you can see here. Okay, so you can see here. So customer account service. Okay, and pass your model object to that. Now I am going to the model service layer. So for a service layer, what is the input? Model object. What we do here? Perform the DB operation. Okay, perform the database operation. Okay, perform the database operation. So you can see perform the database operation. During the database operation, sometimes it may fail. Then model saving exception will come. Sometimes there can be duplicate. Ambiguity exception will come. Like that, exceptions are also handled. So finally, record get created in the database. Record get created in the database. You can see here. Once that is done, then you need to publish the event. You need to publish the event such a way that your UI or your presentation layer can go to the next page. Publish the event. Finally, you can see now I am in the after login page, which is nothing but the home page. And you can see my account, all these things are coming. Like this, you explain here. Like this, you explain. Then definitely you will get 40% selected. That much of powerful it is, because you can see how clearly we differentiated between the different layers, different files, what exactly we are doing, what is the use of this model object, data object, form object, all these things. And clearly we are differentiating what kind of logic we are writing in the controller, facade layer, service layer, form object, data object, model object, and finally performing the database save operation. That's all for today. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Else we'll continue the tomorrow with a bidirectional flow. Now to speed up the bidirectional flow, I want you to remember all these things, whatever we have done today, so that we can see the bidirectional flow tomorrow. In the bidirectional flow, we will have some more additional things which we will cover. That's all for today. Now go ahead with the questions if you have any.
The publish event, that's asynchronous.